All right, hello everyone. I am going to do a couple of things today. There's no one in participation, so I am going to run through the projects that we have and critique them verbally. I'm recording this, so I will save this and put it up on YouTube, and then I will probably post the same link as a response to every single one of the projects that got posted into this module. And we can do that again next week, that's fine. It's actually a pretty efficient way to get a lot of information out there. If anybody comes into the class, I'll admit them and they can hear what's going on here. But for the most part, it's just me right now, which is perfectly okay for an asynchronous class. So a couple of things to think about and a couple of announcements. The first thing is that remember that upon passing this summer class, this art experience class, the Academy is willing to go ahead and provide a couple of $1,000 scholarship upon enrollment, but you have to pass the class. And in doing that, you can see that what I have done today in the discussion area was add a folder that says late, missing, redo, or extra credit. So if anything is in there, I will mark it on my sheet. It's not generated into a coded grade book, but what matters is what's on my paper sheet right there. So the second announcement is that I had posted, I thought I posted, well, let me see if it's in the other class, a link to the what's called the R Lab. And the R Lab is a remote lab. That means you can log in from anywhere and use a computer that's actually on campus. So I thought I posted this, I guess. Oh, I did, it's right here. So if you just go to this link, the administrator yesterday said that the R Lab is open an hour before class and an hour after class, but I forgot to ask them how that works asynchronously. So you can just check this and figure it out. And if anyone has any questions, you can post them in the instructor area, in my instructor's office area there, if you have a question about that, or you can call the school. But yeah, they didn't answer the question about how to use the remote lab if you're in an asynchronous class, because it was supposed to be an hour before and an hour after the class. All right, then the next announcement is I have, when you're looking at, oh, let me go back. When you look at the outline, you can see that there are close dates on the projects that come in. So one will open up and it says stop motion versus 3D. And there's a open and a close date on there. Now, I believe that I put this close date for the late missing folder out to August 18th. That was like the last day of class, I believe. And so remember that utilize this area, utilize this discussion area as much as you can, and don't use the school email for me, because it sends out way too many notifications. I get way too many little red bells all over the place, and it makes poor Billy panicked. So yeah, so use the instructor office or the late missing folder. Just make sure that your name is on the file and I can tell what week and what project it is from. All right, so the next thing that I wanted to mention was that I'm not sure exactly where it landed. Let me see if I can dig it out right here. I'm going to go to page 2. No, it was from the other class. So in the other class, someone had posted a flip book. I believe that's what it was. And so that I believe they were using Flip a Clip or something. And it was looking pretty good. This is what the other class looks like. All this stuff was looking pretty good. And so this is a character that the student had just drawn. And again, it's just a pencil test. It's a really quick study of just how to get things moving. And I click on it and it plays and the tail starts to wag and it goes backwards. And it's really good. You know, I'm really excited about this. I think that works pretty good. Again, this is from the other class. And what I posted in there as a response was that when you're doing something like this, this is the first level of just going in and attacking it and just doing what seems intuitive and getting that tail to wag. I don't think the character needs to be in the back view. I don't think you need to see any more of the tail than what we see right here, but there's tons of resources online. And so what I did, what I always do is just type in 2D animation and then whatever the thing I'm looking at. So don't just type in tail wag, because you'll just get live action dogs. You'll get live action cats on YouTube all over the place. You always have to put in 2D animation. And don't just put in animation, because then you're going to get the 3D, you're going to get the Maya, you're going to get the 3D Studio Max versions of animated tail wags, or stuff that's maybe not even in the public domain where Disney or Pixar has tail wagging and you know, it's kind of hard to parse it out, but this is great. So just imagine that the tail starts in this open C position and then just follow the numbers. It goes to the left. It starts to have an S shape to it. And then the middle part starts to move backwards. So this is counter action. And then again, in the fourth position, the tip of the tail is moving down while the middle part of the tail is moving up and to the right. That's counteraction. That's two things moving in different directions. That is not secondary action. This is counteraction. So number 5 then, number 5 is here, and 6. So now this is obvious where the tail starts to drag in the air, acting as a fluid. So once you get to position 8, then you catch up over here to position 9. And it would be really, really, really hard to see it if they would have put even with a different color, the 9 through 14 drawings right on top of this. But you can see that number 9 drawing is now a compound curve. The part of the top is moving to the right, and now the middle part is already starting to move to the left. And again, you've got this compound curve on drawings number 10 and 11. 9, 10, and 11 all have counteraction, where the tip of the tail is moving to the right, and the bottom of the tail is moving to the left. And then you follow through with drawings 12, 13, and 14 catching up to drawing number 1. And that just makes a perfect tail wag. You have 14 frames if you put it on 2s. That means there's a total of 28 frames. And if you're at 24 FPS, 24 frames per second, that means that you're 4 frames over a second. So that means the tail is wagging from the right back to the right in 1 second plus 4 frames. And 8 frames is a beat. 8 frames is a third of a second. So half of that would be a sixth of a second. So just over a second, the tail is wagging pretty medium paced. If you put 14 drawings on 1s, that's going to be really, really fast. That's just going to be, you're almost 2 wags per second. And if you put it on 3s or 4s, you can slow this down just by pacing. So my point here is that use all of this. And 2D animation walk cycle, you can see that I've looked that up many a times. It just comes right up. There's lots of different examples. Study it. Look at what's being presented to you. Often you'll see something really simple, like in a walk cycle, there's a contact, a down, a passing, and an up position. And then the contact repeats with the other foot. So there's actually a total of 8 drawings that are in a walk cycle. Now, again, if I say 8 drawings on 1s, that means that he's going to be almost running. That means that you're going to have right foot forward to right foot forward to right foot back in 1 second. You have 3 of these cycles. And that's like a really, really, really fast walk. This is normally on 4s, contact down, passing up. And then you have another, so it's a total of 8 drawings on 4s, which is a total of about 32 frames. So just use your resources, do your research. One of the best textbooks out there is the Richard Williams book. And this is what the Richard Williams book looks like. It's the Animator Survival Kit. And these pages are all being referenced from that. In the Animator Survival Kit, Richard Williams has 40 pages on how to do walk cycles. You know, this is one of them. It's just loaded with different varieties, different styles, and different approaches. It's a great, great textbook. It looks like this. Spelled it wrong, but it'll still come up. It looks like this. It's great. Richard Williams was the director for Roger Rabbit. He was a director for Thief and the Cobbler. He did Raggedy Ann and Andy. He did a whole bunch of things. He just did a whole mess of things. Died in his late 80s a couple of years ago. But this is the ultimate, the very best textbook for animation. If anyone's considering a career in animation, get this book. All right, let's jump back over to our class and let's just take a look at these. Let me make sure I'm in the right one. This, I think that we're in the right one. Yes. All right, so once again, what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna click at these and look at them and critique them and talk about what's awesome about it and then some adjustments that can be made to it. And then I'll scrub this to YouTube and put this up on in the class response. So this is great, When Pigs Fly. This is for Jo Marie. Click this and play. So this is great. I love this. This is exactly in the spirit of what is supposed to be going on for a flip book. As soon as this thing crushes the pig, I think that one of the things that you could do is really stretch this out. You could very easily just take the pig and just totally squish him. You know, you could have his little tail way out here. You could have his feet like way out here. This one way out here, just for a frame or two. And you could even put little briffets, little action lines in here, right at that point. That would spice it up just a little bit. But this is great. The pig grows wings and he starts to fly. And then the, oops, hold on. And then the powers that be say, no way, this is great. Absolutely wonderful. Thank you, Jo Marie. And this is great. I love it when people reply. All right, so let's go to the next post. All right, this is Anissa. Sorry, you can yell at me if I pronounce your name wrong. All right, so I looked at this the other day. This is great. This stuff doesn't have to be in color, but this is great. It's got a nice little production value in there. You click on it, the octopus wakes up, and he starts to do his thing for the day, and then all of a sudden a shark comes in. This is technically a cliffhanger here. I think that what you've got is great. This gives you full credit for our project. But in terms of story, it's like, what happens? Who wins? Does the shark win, or does the octopus win, or are they friends, or are they both mugging for the camera? Right now, you've got a total of 7 seconds in here. I think your next step is just to think about putting animation on your show reel, on your website, and to finish this, give this a nice little narrative resolution so that people looking at it know that you can tell that full story arc. But this is great. Nice little production value in there. I wanted to check something. Yeah, I think that what you could probably do is learn how to get objects to move across the stage and get these bubbles to move up. And then when the fish are here, you can get them to be swimming around kind of slowly, just to add a little bit of background animation, a little bit of dimension. This is great. Having a character sheet like this is great. This is industry standard. So well done. You can see I've already replied to some people here, but that's great. Absolutely great. All right, Amaya. You can see that I've replied here to this one as well. This is nice. I think it could be speeded up a little bit. The character throws the ball and it bounces off the wall. One thing that you could do here to make this better is just kind of think about the principles of animation in terms of a bouncing ball. And again, we could go back to our image search and just do 2D animation bouncing ball, because that's what this is. Even though he's throwing it, it's still bouncing, and that he's going to launch from this position up onto a wall. And I think that you could do your audience a favor by drawing the wall, and you could put in a little horizon. I think that would help jazz this up a little bit. And you know, giving yourself a brick wall is a good thing, a sense of perspective. Once you do this, I think you'll see immediately that if you take a ball and from the center point, you have speed indications where the ball is going to slow down until it hits the wall, which should really be up about here. And so it slows down, it eases out of this faster motion. And then it can squash and stretch on the wall right here. And then it's going to accelerate it as it goes back into his hands. And then he would catch it. So if we just do a quick little thing here where we say 2D animation bouncing ball, you're going to see, I've already got it set for images. There's lots of different things that show you the timing and spacing. You know, this is good where you can see the position that the ball is accelerating, and then it squashes, and then it decelerates as it goes to the high point, and then it accelerates again. So when you're throwing your ball against the wall, it's this arc right here where it eases out of that motion and then hits the wall. This is great. This is great. So thank you for that, Amaya. This is great. I just love this. Your flip book starts out with just a couple of characters and they're walking, and then all of a sudden there's a whole party going on. Even though there's just a few drawings in the flip book, this is just wonderful. You can't go wrong with this. The production value on this flip book is super great. I think that even just the way you've got it set right now, the photography is good. Your camera's not moving around very much. So this is great. This is really charming. Consider being happy with this and putting a little movie like this on your website and doing more of it. Having fun with animation is like the key thing that you want to get out of it. This is just great. Yes, this was Jessica. Absolutely wonderful. Good job. Serena, this is great. What we see here, and for all of you, we could take a little note from how you deal with this in production, that it's like, oh, this doesn't look like it's moving, but it is. Sabrina delivered a GIF. And so just click on more and say download. And I'm going to save this to my desktop and just put it right here. And then I'm going to go back here and open up a new tab. And I'm just going to throw this right in this tab. So the GIF will automatically play. And this is great. This is great. The little bunny is trying to get a bite of his carrot. This is exactly the spirit of what we're looking for in a class like this. Absolutely great. Just really, really great. And just wanted to make sure that everyone knew that's how you go about looking at a GIF if it's not set to automatically play. All right, so I think that this is where I stopped my written critiques, and I knew that I was going to do this for today. This is Gracie, and your character is just walking across the stage. This is great. In the whole scheme of critique of things, your feet are sliding on the ground plane. And so if we start at the beginning and we just stop and pause, I'm going to come back to here. I'm going to come back. Let's replay it. So this indication here, if we were to go back to our image search for a walk cycle, there's a couple of things about it that you just need to kind of think about as an animator. And that is that it looks like this foot, whether it's it looks like the right foot is on the ground plane. So when that foot lands on the ground plane, if this character is walking across the stage, this heel has to stay here. For each subsequent frame, it has to stay right where it is. It can lift up as the foot bends, it can do that, but the foot basically has to stay there. And when I turn off the annotation thing here in Zoom, you'll see that the next foot slides over to about right here. And so your idea is to go back into flip a clip and see if you can select the drawing that is next and make sure it lines up with these heel positions. And so you've got one step and then another step. So your animation really is only going to go from about right here to about right here. So let me turn off the annotation. And I'm just going to go a frame. So I want to put I wish I had two cursors. I'm just going to, actually what I could do is I could do it like this. Hold on. So I'm just going to leave this mark here. And I'm just going to turn off the tool. All right, so now you can see if I go a frame ahead and another frame ahead, look how far it moved. It moved that far. So this red shoe should be all the way back here. So see if you can get the subsequent frames all lined up so that the feet aren't sliding across the ground plane. And then I think that you also want to pay just a little bit of attention to the rules of cinema and take everything in this animation and slide it up a little bit. You should never have a character walking on the edge of the screen. It's just not the best aesthetic. All right, so that's my critique on this. And it's really good. I mean, I like the background and everything, and the color is good. But the actual walk cycle, even though the feet are sliding, looks like it was done correctly. So that's good. Good, good, good. All right, this is Zoe. I showed this to my other class yesterday. The little bug walks. Camera's following along. The rock pans in, that's great. She lifts up the rock. Oh, look, there's a giant worm under there. No, I'm out of here. And they run away. Great. Exactly what you want to be doing for a flip book and studying animation. This is absolutely wonderful. Amelia. Oh, I just was astonished at this. You animated a dog over like 4 seconds. This is great. This is absolutely wonderful. There's so much character, so much narrative in here. I think that it's true that the dog is wiggling around a little bit, but that's okay. If you just kind of go through it, you could probably re-register and nudge those back into position, but a little bit. But this is great. This is exactly what you want to be doing for studying spontaneous, straight-ahead animation in an art experience class like this. Just absolutely great. Really, really wonderful. All right, Leilani. I commented on this one to my other class as well. Even though it's just the hair moving in the wind, this is really great. This is a lot of work. Even though it's just maybe 10 or 12 drawings, this is just really great. The idea of thinking about getting the hair to move like that, this is great. You could go back to my example that I just talked about with the tail wagging and get some sort of oscillation going, some waveform animation happening within the hair itself, but you don't need it. This is great. This is absolutely great. Just spot on, perfect, great. All right, so this is fun. I saw this yesterday, Taryn. Flip book, he just goes crazy and kills himself one more time. He starts out happy, goes crazy, and then just dies. This is perfect. This is great. You're having fun with your animation. That is the whole purpose. That's the whole point of this. All right, Alexis, you were just responding. Here's Alexis. So your character is trying to pull a plant out of the ground and is unsuccessful at it, and that is great. We don't know what it is. If you wanted to finish this, this could be the tail of some kind of weird dinosaur. or it could be some giant rutabaga. It's great. There's lots of imagination going on in here. So yeah, that was Alexis. Excellent. All right, this is Odalis, and this is fun. My class chuckled on camera yesterday. This kind of gives it away. The frame that you ended on is kind of like the part of the story where the cat comes to life and gets really mad. This is really great. I think that if you wanted to improve this just a little bit, I think that it's kind of obvious that the water is drenching him and you got little drips, but then his head is really big and his tail is really mad. But I think that you could do something with the body, get the body to just, the body's mad too. Other than that, this is perfect. Absolutely wonderful. All right, Isabel, this is great. This is totally 100% in the spirit of the class. You've got 3x5 cards. The character throws the paper, they come together, exactly what you need to be doing. And then in your production, you repeat it a couple of times. That's great. You play it for everyone a couple of times, and that's just great. So no one has to hit the replay button. Exactly what you need to be doing. Your drawings are right there. They're spot on. They're fun. They're spontaneous. It's great. I'm glad you're having fun with it. All right, Daisy. I saw this yesterday. This is absolutely great. The cat is just sitting there and he jumps and lands perfect. You gave your audience a little bit of crumpled background. You've given him a ground plane, which is fine. You could also have a horizon back there if you want, and some sort of perspective. It doesn't always just have to be flat, but this is great. I believe if we study this, the cat takes an anticipation. Look at that, everyone. He squishes and then jumps and lands. See, cat actually takes an anticipation. You get 150,000 points for this. This is great. I think that you would get 150,000 more points if you squashed and stretched him when he landed. But this is great. Perfect character, perfect narrative, absolutely wonderful. All right, this is Janelle. I didn't see this yet. This is new to me. Okay, this is fun. You've got a black and white character who reacts to something, shrinks and jumps off the screen, and then reappears again. This is great. I love it. I think it's really great. It's exactly 100% in the spirit of a digital flip book. Yep, that's great. Good job. You dodged a bullet on that one. All right, this one is our little cat chewing on a piece of bubble gum. There's a little sound effect in there. That's great. Sound always helps. A little model sheet, that always helps too. Yeah, this is great. Nice production value. Yep, perfect. Absolutely wonderful. Thanks, Sia, Kaya. Riley. Oh, look, a plant, everybody. Hey. That's great. This is what a flip book is all about. I don't think it needs to be a year. Just make it a day. One day later. One more time. Yep, that's great. Good job, Riley. Thank you. All right, Jaden. Okay, I think that you've got the arm movement for throwing the ball. Someone says hey and throws a big rock back at him, leaving it to the audience of what actually happens when the rock crushes him. But again, there are 2D animation baseball pitcher. And the reason why I want to mention this is just because you can see that we use the idea of a baseball pitcher because baseball pitchers start from a neutral pose. They take an anticipation, and then the typical professional baseball player will throw that baseball somewhere near 100 miles an hour. How do you do that? How do you start from just 85 feet away and then go into an anticipation with enough power to throw 100 mile an hour fastball? You do that because your anticipation. So, go back and do your research. Do some visual reference on how far to the left that anticipation can be. If this is live action, he's winding up. This character, this live action character, isn't really moving that far to the left, but he's still getting the idea of a fast pitch. So again, I think this is great. It's perfect, absolute full credit. But go back in there and see if you can improve what you've done by studying what a baseball pitcher actually looks like. All right, we got one more. I saw this morning. This is Hayden. This is really great. The expression on the frog. He jumps up, squishes, lands in the water. This is great. So now what I'm looking for is that deformation. Does your frog take an anticipation? Yes, he does. Look at that. So let's just study that. This is great. So he squishes down and his butt moves to the left. And it even exaggerates even just a little more. And then he flies up and stretches. This is what sells this. The idea of squash, stretch, and rubbery. This is great. A full absolute 5 million points for this. This is great. All right. Thank you, Hayden. That was absolutely wonderful. All right, so those are all of the flip books that came in. Remember that for everyone, you are welcome to put any catch up or late work in the later missing folder. This hand-drawn animation thing is set to close. It already closed on July 10th, so you can put it in here. You can put it in the instructor's office. I will see it. I will see it right there.